What is up everyone and welcome back to a new Sorare video, and I'm going to be doing another scouting guide because you guys seem to absolutely love these whenever I upload them on the channel. And what I thought I'd do today, because I've gone through all of the positions, I've gone through goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders and forwards. So what am I going to do today? I'm going to give you 10 players that have transferred in this transfer window that could smash it for their new clubs in the up and coming European season. So one thing I will say about a lot of the transfers is a lot of their prices are going to reflect in the fact that they have just transferred to what is usually seen as a better scoring club on the SO5 matrix. So bear that in mind, and there is a certain risk involved with picking up any player that is transferred. You don't know how they're going to settle in. You don't know if they're going to play. So just take every one of these with a pinch of salt and make sure you do your own research before you go in and just pick up a player. But these are players that I think could potentially smash it for the club that they are joining or have joined next season. As always, if you want to sign up to Sorare, do so using the link in the description and you'll get a free limited card upon buying 5 in the auction house. And it really helps me out, helps the channel out. And yeah, you'll get one step ahead with a free limited card if you go and do that. And yeah, let's get into the video. So the first player that I'm going to talk about is a player that I have a little bit of a story about actually, which is Angelino. Obviously, he was at Hoffenheim last year, who weren't an amazing side, almost got relegated. But Angelino has now moved to Galatasaray, and Galatasaray are seeming to put together a really strong side for the for next season. Obviously, they bought in Wolf Zaha. They bought in Icardi, so there's a few players there that are going that could smash it. That are really sort of, I don't want to say too strong for the league because the Turkish league is good and there are a lot of quality players there. But yeah, I mean the team that Galatasaray are building are is really really good. So the funny thing with Angelino is my brother actually plays Sorare, and you might have seen this on Twitter. But he plays Sorare. He's got a gallery that's worth maybe 20 quid. And Angelino was one of the players that he picked up when he was first starting out, and he bought it for like 3 quid, and it was the first player that he's seen like a massive rise on the game, because he went up from like 3 quid to like 16 quid overnight with the transfer. I think we'll see it. Yeah, you can see here. Well, he was like £6, and then he went up all the way up like in one day to like 12 quid, doubled in price. And I kid you not, I've never seen someone message me so happy that a player has just transferred clubs, because it's the first time he'd ever seen any like real profit on Sorare. So yeah, Angelino is my first pick. Regarding like his scores and stuff, like this is how he scored for a really really like crap Hoffenheim side. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Um, he was always like getting in the mix and sort of getting forward and stuff like that, even as a defender or sort of a wide back. So moving into a Galatasaray side that are dominant and he's going to get more goals, more assists, I think he could be one of the best scoring defenders on the platform. So keep an eye out for him. For around 16 quid at the moment floor price, but you probably could pick him up for about 15, 14, 13 quid maybe. I think he's a really, really good option. Moving on to the next player, we have Canales, who is, um, I mean, he's one of those players that like everyone knew from FIFA because he was always like pretty high rated, but no one had ever watched him play if you were just a FIFA fan and not really into Sorare. But he has just signed for Monterrey in the Liga MX in Mexico. And obviously, the Mexican league is not the same quality as the Spanish league. So you'd expect a player like Canales, who is sort of a box-to-box, more attacking midfielder, to go over there and just tear it up. Because in these American leagues, you tend to find that the attacking midfielders do really well. Like especially you look at the MLS, you look at the players that do well there, like Carlos Hill. Um, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Reynoso, who's doing well. They tend to do really well. So I think putting a player like Canales, who's that sort of luxury player, or will be for Monterrey anyway, I think he could be a really, really good option. So definitely keep an eye out for him. Excuse me. Keep an eye out for him because I think with his experience, even at 32 years old, I think he'll be a really good option. Well, I'll probably pick him up for around 7 quid at the moment. So for someone that, I mean, you're not going to lose much for 7 quid. About 120 to 130 for the rare. So Yeah, I mean, he's a risk that I think a lot of people are going to see as worth taking, because if he smashes it, he could be one of the best scorers on the platform. And again, I'll reiterate that you could probably say that about any of these players, because they're moving to clubs that are typically better SO5 scorers. But again, you don't know how they're going to do. So take everything I'm saying here with a pinch of salt. Do your own research before you pick any player up. So the next player we're going to talk about is Tati Castellanos, and this is a player that Quinny and Stish were talking about quite heavily on the latest podcast that they released. So make sure you go watch that. It's really, really interesting. But has obviously just moved from Girona and has gone to Lazio. No, sorry, he not Girona. I saw the Girona kit and said it, but he was playing at New York City last season, or sort of start of this season. I mean, hasn't played last few games, but was playing there. Has now moved to Lazio in the Serie A, and I think this could be a really, really interesting move. Um, Typically, you'd say someone going to a stronger side is not going to suit them, like SO5 wise. But I think a player like of his quality and his like dynamic nature could really suit the Serie A and what they're all about, or that sort of fast style of play. And Lazio, a very counter-attacking side with a lot of pace, so I think he'll slip in perfectly there. 24 years old, so you've got a lot of utility left on him. And yeah, about 16 quid at the moment. So for a forwards, because forwards tend to be a bit more pricey, I think he's a really, really good value pickup. And yeah, he's a bit of a risk, but you never know. You never know. Another player that I'm going to talk about is Sebastian Samanski. And he's a player that I actually held in Rare for the back end of last season. You see here, I sold him right before his move to Fenerbahce got announced, which is not ideal. I've had a few like that this year, which is not great. But yeah, I mean, he was a really, really good player for Feyenoord. Sort of plays in that sort of number 10 role. He's sort of small, agile midfielder who always is getting in and creating chances. And he's played one game for Fenerbahce, scored 75 points. And I just expect a lot more of this from him next season, because I just think he's a really, really good, talented player. And I mean, you'd probably say like the Eredivisie from where he was last year, Fenerbahce are probably a similar level, like quality wise. And you see, like back in the last year, he was doing really, really well. So Fenerbahce arguably going to be even more dominant next season, especially with how well that those teams have strengthened. I think he could smash it. So what is he? About 20 to 25 quid at the moment for a limited, about 200 quid for a rare. So I think he's a pretty good price. And again, he's only 24 as well. So I think he's a pretty good option. Move on to the next player in Victor Goyakares. Tell me if I'm saying that right in the comments. This player is a bit more expensive. We're sort of moving up in price as we get along. But was playing for Coventry last year, had a really, really good, solid season for them, and is now just signed for Sporting. Yeah, Sporting. Um, so, I mean, this is a typical SO5 dream. He's moving to a really, really strong league SO5 wise, because the Portuguese league outside of the main teams is not great. And I can see him just tearing it up there. He's a really, really fast, dynamic, pacey striker, a typical number 9. And yeah, I think he's just going to be really, really good. Around 300 quid at the moment, or about 30 to 35 quid for a limited. So he's a bit more on the pricey side, but for someone that scored like this well for Coventry last year, he could be unreal, unreal. So keep an eye on him. And while you're here, make sure you leave a comment below and let me know who you think is going to be a really good transfer next year. And if you've picked up any players on the transfer hype, because I know we're all guilty of doing that sometimes. So let me know who you've picked up. And then we'll move into the next player in Enzo Lefebvre, a player that I really, really enjoyed watching in the under 21 Euros. Such a silky midfielder. He's got some skill. He's got a passing range. He's got really good passing range. I mean, he's got a shot on him. He can do pretty much everything. And he is moved from Lorient to Rennes. And well, Stade Rennais, whatever you want to call them. And Stubborn, they are a really, really attacking, sort of versatile side, and they've got a lot of good players there now. Like you look at Burjode, you look at Doku, you look at Guiri. They've got some real attacking dynamism in that side, and I think you put Enzo Lefebvre behind them, and he's gonna smash it. And I've been so tempted to pick one of him up because he's like 250 quid maybe for his rare at the moment. Like his floor's a bit higher at the moment, but you never know. But about 40 quid for his limited, which I think is an unreal sort of price, because I genuinely think this player has insane quality. He's under 23 for another season, so if you want an under 23 sort of maybe differential pick, I think he could be a really, really good option. So let me know if you think he's a good option. I mean, he's got some good fixtures at the start of the season with Metz, Le Havre, Nantes, and I don't know why. Like midfielders tend to score really well against PSG as well. So I'm calling 100 against PSG. Come back to this video when he gets that. Move on to the next player in Samuel Chikwesi, and is just signed for AC Milan from Villarreal. And yeah, I mean, a very fast, pacey, dynamic winger. And again, similar to Tati Castanos, I think he's going to fit in really, really well in the Serie A with the sort of counter-attacking style of play a lot of teams seem to implement in that league. He's 24 years old, so there's a lot of utility left on him. About 20 quids or about 180 quid for the rare. That rare price, I think is really, really good, and a really, really fair sort of price for his cards. So you can see he's actually been selling for a little bit more than that, and yeah, I think that's a really good pickup for someone that's interested. He's got a pretty good run in, obviously outside of the Roma and Inter games. So yeah, I think he's a really, really good option, and he's just a fun player to watch. And obviously with the style of play, I think he's really gonna suit this sort of new look AC Milan side. Obviously, they're going to have Pulisic playing. They're going to have Chikwesi. Loftus Cheeks are going to have a lot of really solid play in transition. And I think, yeah, they're going to be electric to watch next season. So keep an eye on that one. Another player that I'm going to talk about has been tearing it up for Chelsea in pre-season is Nicholas Jackson. And a player that none of us knew before he sort of went on that hot streak for Villarreal. And a lot of players that weren't playing so rare will probably not know much about him now. But I'm telling you, this kid is the dog's bollocks, mate. He's unreal. And I hate to say it because I'm a Tottenham fan, but he's so good. Even watching him pre-season, you can just get a feel of a player when he's smashing it. He's strong, he's fast, he can finish, he can do everything that you want from a striker. So like he's under 23 till 2025, so you got a lot of utility on him. And yeah, I can genuinely, I shouldn't say it because Chelsea forwards never do well, but I can see these kind of scores next season. So come back and grill me when he scores 5 goals all year, but I think he's going to be really good, especially on the Poch, because he's the type of forward that is going to do great under Pochettino. I realise I've only put 9 players in here, so you're only getting 9 today. Sorry, boys. And final player that I'm going to talk about is Luis Appenda, a really, really quick, pacey, prolific striker that has just come from the Eredivisie over to no, I'm lying. He hasn't come from the Eredivisie. He hasn't. He's come from Lens in France to RB Leipzig, and this new look RB Leipzig forward line of Xavi Simons, Carvalho, Sesko, and obviously now Appenda, like it could be really, really exciting. I think Appenda's sort of tipped as sort of being the guy in under 23 forwards next year. So he's got a year left of utility, and he is probably the priciest out of the lot on this list because he's around 60 quid at the moment. So you look like his scores are good, but I can just see. I mean, especially in the Bundesliga where there are more goals scored than in the French league, like I can just see him like going on a mad run and scoring 70 to 80 every week. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some good options. Let me know who your favorite options out of this video were. And yeah, apart from that, have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the sun. Peace.